All right, let's move on to section 2, and that's when we started doing some exercises. If you recall, we talked about the chocolate store. Remember, we had that international company, the European company, who wanted to bring chocolate into New York City and open up their own boutique. And we took some time thinking through how would we break down that problem, how would we get our minds to not only deal with breadth and depth. Those are really important skills. Now keep in mind, this is not a framework for solving cases, it's a skill set. When I talk about the classic skills with L for logic, I want to see that you have good breadth and good depth. And if you recall, we went through some buckets basically related to the chocolate store. And those buckets or categories, I asked you to first of all take that popcorn thinking that you have, roll it up into a category, and then smash that category again. So if it was time, we talked about, what are different types of time. Maybe what triggered the category time was thinking about candy and how it's seasonal. What we want to do now is think, well, what other kinds of time are important for rolling out a new store, which would be maybe the ramp-up time, thinking of the process flow of getting started and going all the way to the point of maybe breaking even or being profitable. But there's also other time related to it, like exactly when do we need to launch? What is the perfect time? And we even thought about something vague like short, midterm, long-term. It's a small structure, it's good. So start working through, can you take categories and break them down? Now for homework, what I'd like you to think about is making this your highest priority. When an interviewer is talking to you and can tell that you don't have breadth or don't have depth, that's a real red flag in terms of wanting you to move ahead. The next thing is think about the analytical skills. In general, they're going to pick up pretty quickly. And also, in terms of practicing, I want you to have wide exposure, which leads to a very specific assignment. Get some business magazines, Business Week, Fortune, Forbes, whatever you like to read, but those are some good ones. And just read short articles and start thinking about how would you break the problem down? What is the main issue? What's the priority? And what do you want to do in terms of following up? I would think that you'd want to start also, for those of you who are getting a little bit more advanced, thinking about some advanced data that you would look for. When I worked with people in consulting firms and people were on my team, one of the first things I'd ask them to do is put out a data request to the client. Basically get data from the client to solve the problem they had to do, whether it was a competitor analysis or looking at profitability. In a sense, you're doing the exact same thing with the start to your case. You're laying out, here are the areas I want to look into, and here's what I'm thinking about. And a good interviewer is going to say, well, what data do you need? So let's start practicing that with your friends. Drill down in a few spots and say, what data do you need to go forward?